Do you know the difference between wanting something and truly being willing to pay for it? The difference is simple. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to be famous. Everyone wants to be successful. But how many are willing to wake up every day at 5 in the morning for 20 straight years? How many are willing to train when your body hurts so much you can barely get out of bed? How many are willing to miss their own father's funeral because you have a game the next day and millions of people are waiting for you? Cristiano Ronaldo did all of that. And it wasn't just once. It wasn't in a moment of inspiration. It was every single day for decades. While you were sleeping, he was training. While you were going out with friends, he was in the gym. While you were eating whatever you wanted, he was weighing every gram of food that entered his body. This isn't motivation. Motivation runs out. This is brutal, relentless, obsessive discipline. This is living as if every day were the last of your career. Cristiano was born poor. So poor that his mother considered having an abortion because she didn't have money to raise another child. So poor that he and his siblings shared the same bed in a tiny room in Madeira. So poor that sometimes there wasn't enough food on the table. He could have used that as an excuse. He could have said life was unfair to him. He could have given up like so many others. But no, he looked at that poverty and decided he would never live like that again. He decided he would get out of there no matter what it took. And it took a lot. It cost him leaving his family at 11 years old to go train in Lisbon. It cost him crying alone at night in a cold dormitory far from everything he knew. It cost him hearing other kids mock his accent, his old clothes, the fact that he was poor. It cost him training until his hands bled. It cost him continuing when everything inside him screamed to stop. But he didn't stop, because he had something most people don't have. He had a vision so clear of what he wanted that nothing was going to divert him from that path. Not pain, not loneliness, not doubts, not criticism, nothing. He saw himself at the top, and every sacrifice, every tear, every drop of sweat was a step on that ladder. And while others complained, he worked. While others looked for shortcuts, he took the hardest path, because he knew it was the only one that would take him where he wanted to go. At 15, he found out his father was very sick. Alcohol was destroying the man who gave him life. Cristiano saw it, felt it, suffered with it. But he couldn't stop. He had training. He had games. He had responsibilities. At 20, he lost his father. He would never see him again. He would never be able to show him everything he conquered. He would never be able to say, "Thank you for giving me life even when you had nothing." His father died before seeing his son become the best player in the world. Died before the trophies, before the fame, before everything. And that pain never went away. Cristiano carries that every day. You see it in his eyes, in that look that sometimes gets lost even in the middle of a celebration. It's the pain of knowing that the person he most wanted to impress isn't here anymore. But he continued, because that's what his father would have wanted. That's what all that struggle meant. When he arrived at Manchester United, he was just a skinny kid with too much hair gel and too many tricks. The English fans didn't forgive. They called him a clown. They said it was all show and he would never score important goals. They said he was weak, that he cried too much, that he couldn't handle the pressure of the Premier League. He heard it all, read it all, kept it all. And instead of responding with words, he responded with work. He woke up before everyone. He stayed after everyone. While his teammates went home to rest, he stayed in the gym doing sit-ups, push-ups, sprints. While others ate fast food, he ate grilled chicken and vegetables. While others drank beer on weekends, he drank water and went to bed early. People saw the goals. They saw the celebrations. They saw the trophies. But nobody saw the endless hours of sacrifice. Nobody saw the tasteless meals repeated countless times. Nobody saw the nights alone, wondering if it was really worth giving up everything for this. Nobody saw the relationships that didn't work out because he had no time for anything besides football. Nobody saw the friendships that were lost because he chose greatness instead of comfort.
Nobody saw the friendships that were lost because he chose greatness instead of comfort. And here's the truth nobody wants to accept. You can't have everything. You can't want to be the best in the world and at the same time live a normal life. You can't want to break all the records and at the same time go out every night with friends. You can't want to be a legend and at the same time have free time to relax. You have to choose. And Cristiano chose a long time ago. He chose the pain of sacrifice instead of the pain of regret. He chose the loneliness of the gym instead of the company of parties. He chose discipline instead of freedom. And that has a cost that most people will never pay because they can't even imagine what it's like to live like this. Living knowing you can't fail, that millions of people are waiting for you to be perfect, that every mistake you make will be amplified 1,000 times, that there's no real rest because even on vacation, you have to stay in shape, that there's no escape because you chose this path and now you have to walk it to the end. Cristiano won his first Ballon d'Or in 2008. He was 23 years old. The poor kid from Madeira was on top of the world. But do you think he relaxed? Do you think he thought, I've made it, I can rest now? No. He looked at that trophy and thought, this is just the beginning. I want more. I want to be the best ever. I want people to still be talking about my name 50 years from now. And for that, he needed to work even harder. He needed to be even more obsessive, even more disciplined, even more relentless with himself. When he went to Real Madrid, the pressure increased. Now it wasn't just about being good, it was about being better than Messi. It was about winning Champions Leagues. It was about scoring 50 goals per season. It was about carrying the entire team on his back. And he did all of that. But the price kept rising. More training, more sacrifices, more pain, more sleepless nights, more pressure, more criticism. Because when you're at the top, everyone wants to see you fall. Everyone is waiting for the moment you'll fail to say, I knew he wasn't that good. And Cristiano knew that. He knew he couldn't give that satisfaction to anyone. So he continued. He continued training like he was 20 when he was already 30. He continued taking care of his body like it was a competition machine. He continued sacrificing everything for football. He lost finals. He cried on the field. He felt the pain of defeat. But he never gave up. He always came back, stronger, more determined, more dangerous. Because that's the difference between the good and the great. The good give up when it hurts. The great use pain as fuel. The good look for excuses. The great look for solutions. The good want comfort. The great want glory. And glory doesn't come cheap. Glory demands everything. It demands that you wake up when your body begs for more sleep. It demands that you train when your muscles scream for rest. It demands that you continue when your mind says you've done enough. It demands that you choose the pain of effort instead of the pain of regret time and time again. Cristiano made those choices thousands of times, and each choice built the legacy we know today. Every extra training session, every controlled meal, every hour of sleep respected, every apparently small sacrifice accumulated until it formed something giant, something that transcends football, something that inspires millions of people around the world. But he paid for it. He paid with time, he paid with energy, he paid with relationships. He paid with moments he'll never get back. He paid with his youth consumed by the gym. He paid with freedom traded for discipline. He paid with normal life sacrificed on the altar of greatness. And now at 38, 39, 40 years old, when most players from his generation are already retired, he's still there. Still scoring goals, still breaking records, still competing with kids half his age. How? Because he never stopped paying the price. He never relaxed. He never said, I've done enough. He never allowed age to be an excuse. He continues to wake up early. He continues to train hard. He continues to take care of his body like he's 20. He continues with the same hunger, the same obsession, the same brutal discipline that brought him here.
The same brutal discipline that brought him here. And that's what makes you think. That's what forces you to look at your own life and ask, am I really doing everything I can? Am I paying the price for my dreams? Or am I just daydreaming, waiting for something to change? Because the hard truth is this: nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody's gonna wake up in your place. Nobody's gonna train for you. Nobody's gonna sacrifice for you. Either you pay the price or you live with regret. There's no middle ground. There are no shortcuts. There are no magic tricks. There's only work. Hard, consistent, relentless work, repeated every day for years and years until finally something happens. Until finally the results appear. Until finally the world recognizes what you always knew, that you were capable, that you had it inside you, that you just needed the courage to pay the price. Cristiano Ronaldo today has everything: money, fame, respect, trophies, records. He has everything he ever dreamed of. But if you look closely into his eyes, you still see that poor kid from Madeira. You still see the hunger. You still see the pain. You still see the scars from the sacrifices nobody saw. Because those scars don't disappear. They stay with you forever. They remind you where you came from. They remind you of the price you paid. They remind you that nothing was given, everything was conquered. And maybe that's what keeps him up at night. Not the fear of losing what he has, but the fear of forgetting where he came from. The fear of relaxing and losing what made him great. The fear of becoming normal, because normal was never an option for him. Normal was staying in Madeira. Normal was accepting poverty. Normal was giving up when it got difficult. But he chose the extraordinary. He chose to pay the price few pay, to have what few have. He chose to sacrifice what most don't sacrifice, to conquer what most don't conquer. And now the question hangs in the air, not for him, but for you. Are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to wake up when you don't feel like it? Are you willing to train when your body hurts? Are you willing to continue when everyone doubts? Are you willing to sacrifice comfort for greatness? Are you willing to trade the easy life for the life that's worth it? Because if you're not, that's okay. You can live a normal life. You can have your moments of pleasure. You can relax. You can rest. But don't complain when others reach where you want it to go. Don't complain when you see someone at the top and you're still at the bottom. Don't complain that life is unfair when you yourself didn't do what was necessary. Because life isn't unfair. Life pays exactly the price you deserve. If you work little, you receive little. If you work a lot, you receive a lot. If you sacrifice everything, you can win everything. Cristiano Ronaldo is living proof of that. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't born with supernatural talent. He didn't have luck. He had work. He had discipline. He had obsession. He had the courage to pay the price when nobody was watching. And now everyone sees the result. Everyone sees the goals. Everyone sees the trophies. Everyone sees the fame. But few see the price. Few understand the sacrifice. Few have the courage to do the same. And that's why he's Cristiano Ronaldo. And you're you, unless you decide to change. Unless you decide to pay the price. Unless you decide that starting today, mediocrity is no longer an option. That starting today, you'll work like you've never worked before. That starting today, you'll sacrifice whatever it takes. That starting today, you'll be relentless with yourself. Because if there's anything Cristiano Ronaldo's story teaches us, it's this. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter how many times you failed. What matters is whether you're willing to pay the price. What matters is whether you have the courage to continue when everything says to stop. What matters is whether you believe in yourself when nobody else does. And if you have that, then nothing can stop you. Nothing can prevent you. Nothing can take away what's yours by right. Because greatness isn't for the talented. It's for those who pay the price. And Cristiano Ronaldo paid that price every single day for 30 years. Now the question is, are you willing to pay yours?
And that therefore, he deserves every single second of glory he lived. But there's something that needs to be said here and now, without beating around the bush, without cheap romanticism.
without beautiful eyes. The path Cristiano chose destroys more people than it saves. For everyone who reaches the top, there are thousands who fall along the way, broken, exhausted, lost, because they try to imitate the obsession without having the mental structure to handle it. They try to copy the sacrifice without understanding that sacrifice without clear purpose is just empty suffering. Cristiano always knew why. He always had the crystal clear vision of the destination he sought. He didn't train just to train. He trained because each repetition brought him closer to the boy who promised his mother he would take the family out of poverty. Every goal he scored was an answer to those who mocked him when he arrived in Lisbon, without knowing how to speak properly, without having decent clothes, without knowing anyone. Every trophy raised was a silent tribute to the father who never saw any of this, but who somehow is present in every conquest. That clarity of purpose is rare. Most people work hard without really knowing why. They sacrifice without being sure of the destination. They suffer without having the emotional reward of knowing it's worth it. Cristiano always had that certainty. Even on the dark days, when he lost finals, when injuries appeared, when the newspapers tore him apart, when it seemed like a whole world was against him, even on those days he knew this was temporary. He knew the pain would pass, but the glory would remain. He knew every tear shed today would be transformed into smiles tomorrow. And that's exactly what happened. How many times did he cry on the field after losing? How many times did he feel the bitter taste of defeat and think he would never be able to get up again? How many times did doubt knock on the door and whisper, maybe you're not as good as you think? But he never opened that door. He never let doubt come in and sit at the table. He sent it away with work, with repetition, with goals, with victories, with absolute refusal to accept that failure could define him. Because failure, for him, was always information, never identity. When he missed a penalty, it wasn't because he was bad. It was because he needed to practice more penalties. When he lost a game, it wasn't because he was worthless. It was because the team needed to improve strategy. Always external, never internal. Always solution, never excuse. That mentality completely separates those who win from those who only dream of winning. Dreamers blame. They blame the coach, luck, teammates, the referee, circumstances. Winners take responsibility. They take total responsibility for the result and look for ways to improve. Cristiano always took responsibility. When Portugal lost, he didn't point fingers. He looked in the mirror and asked, what could I have done better? When Real Madrid didn't win, he didn't blame anyone. He trained more, arrived earlier, stayed later, demanded more from himself. Leadership isn't shouting. Leadership is showing by example that you're willing to suffer more than anyone. And he showed that countless times. He showed it when he played injured because the team needed him. He showed it when in his 30s, he continued to be the first to arrive at training. He showed it when he won everything and could relax, but instead changed clubs to prove himself again in another league. He showed it when he went to Italy and adapted his game to stay relevant in a different league. He showed it when he returned to England already over 36 and still scored decisive goals. He showed it when he went to Arabia and instead of just going for the money, he continues to take football seriously as if he were 20. Because money was never the main engine. It was a consequence. The engine was always proving that the poor kid could conquer the world, proving that the boy with the strange accent could speak the universal language of goals, proving that age is just a number when your head and body are aligned, proving that discipline beats talent when talent doesn't work, proving that nothing is impossible when you're willing to pay any price. And the price he paid is engraved in his body. It's in the scars from surgeries. It's in the chronic pains that never completely disappear. It's in the knees that hurt every morning. It's in the poorly slept nights because of anxiety before big games. It's in the permanent tension of knowing you can't fail
because millions depend on you, but it's also engraved in his soul, in the capacity to continue when everything hurts, in the mental strength to block out criticism and focus only on the objective, in the hidden humility of knowing that despite everything, you're still that kid from Madeira trying to prove something. Cristiano never forgot where he came from. He never let fame transform him into someone unrecognizable. He continues to visit the island. He continues to help his family. He continues to look at the streets where he grew up and feel gratitude for the entire journey. He remains human despite seeming superhuman. And maybe that's what's missing from the story. The humanity. Because we focus so much on the gladiator that we forget the man. We forget that he also feels fear. He also has insecurities. He also questions whether he made the right choices. He also wonders if it was worth losing so much to gain so much. But then he looks at his children. He looks at the life he can give them. He looks at the legacy he's building. He looks at the millions of kids around the world who look at him as proof that impossible dreams can become reality. And he knows it was worth it. Every drop of sweat was worth it. Every hidden tear was worth it. Every silent sacrifice was worth it. Every moment of loneliness was worth it. Every unfair criticism was worth it. Every pain, every defeat, every doubt was worth it. Because all of that shaped him. All of that made him unshakable. All of that transformed him from boy to legend. And now the final question isn't for him. It's for you who are listening to this. What are you willing to sacrifice? What price are you willing to pay? How much time are you willing to invest? How much pain are you willing to endure? How many times are you willing to fail before you succeed? Because if the answer is anything less than everything, then prepare yourself for mediocre results. Prepare yourself to live the life that's left over, not the life you dream of. Prepare yourself to look back 20 years from now and ask yourself, what if I had really tried? Cristiano won't have that regret. He'll look back and know he gave absolutely everything. And that, my friend, is the true victory.